So we got the interview ready. Hello, how you guys doing? You guys doing great? Yeah, good to see you again. Yep. Here, yeah, we have a bit of a interesting set. I apologize, we're not the most advanced here, but I thought if you wanted, you guys could say, Jack is going to take the crappy mic because we got to give the best to the guests. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind, here, let me just put the mic kind of in the middle. Sorry that we only got one mic, but I figured whoever wanted to speak could just kind of like lean in there if you wouldn't mind.
Perfect.
Yeah. So thank you. Would you mind introducing yourselves to the listening audience out there?
Hello, I'm Ellie Belensky, and I am the president of the WSU Furry Club.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and I'm Braden Rebellas, vice president of the Furry Club.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, thank you for being again on the program again. I was talking a little bit earlier about how, we I didn't actually know of the Furry Club until I think it was like 2 weeks. Rebecca at the Daily Evergreen told me about it, and I thought it was interesting because when I did hear about it, I thought it was like you guys just founded it, but no, that's not even the case. That's not true. So yeah, thanks again for being on the show to talk about it a little bit, and we just wanted to talk a little bit about the club, and then just for people who are kind of like unaware about the fandom as well, what it is, what it entails. Because people, I think there are a lot of people interested in that. Since you had told me in the interview as well that there are people who are involved with the fandom who aren't part of the club really. So yeah. So we're trying to get the word out a little bit with this interview. So I appreciate you making the time. Yeah. So first of all, the club, the meeting I went to on last Tuesday was not actually even the first meeting of the year. It was the first informational meeting. That's how you put it.
Yeah. So we had a couple meetings beforehand, just kind of like welcoming everyone to the club, beginning of the year, and then we had some we voted for our election kind of, and then this was our first, I guess, real meeting. Yeah. Where we actually talked, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. And it was you had mentioned if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about how long you guys have been involved with the club. I know I asked you this for the article as well, but that'll be coming out in just a few days, I believe. So.
Perfect. Yeah, I have been in the club pretty much since its founding. This is my third year at WSU, and I joined my freshman year here. And that it wasn't really an official club yet, but it was just beginning. And then I joined, and then I've kind of been here. This is my third year. And then now I'm the president of the club, right. But I've been in here for a couple of years now.
And I think I've been in the WSU Furry Club for 2 years, so a year after its founding. I remember finding them at the club fair, and it was really exciting. There was a group of fellow weirdos like me out there, and I just was like, I absolutely have to join this club. So, and the rest is history.
Right. Well, yeah, and you had mentioned it's kind of interesting that this is kind of a deep question, but I'm just wondering, how would you define a member of the furry fandom? What does that entail to be a member of it?
It's a lot of things. Well, the furry community is just people that basically like animals with human characteristics. But the fandom itself is it's so, I guess, massive, and it's intimidating. But the community is just really accepting of, like Braden said, weirdos like us. I don't know how I would describe it. What about you, Braden?
I don't know. I think for me, it's definitely very heavy in the creative kind of part, especially with, all the artists and from every single, from music to traditional art to digital art, especially with craftsman work. Same with, you do fursuit making. So, and that's definitely an art. I mean, seriously, you should check it out. Their page on Instagram is really cool. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a lot of people who have a lot of creative flair. And I think I really like that about it, because I myself have never been really the creative one. It kind of forced me to step out of my comfort zone and be like, maybe I should try art. And I have. And, it's another thing to do.
Let me ask a question, because on the topic of what constitutes the fandom and creativity and stuff, I wanted to ask, we were talking about this earlier, but so I haven't gotten involved with the furry community at all, but I love the art style. The art style intrigues me. It's interesting. And I think there's a lot of objective, awesome art to it, like besides the whole fandom and all that stuff. So I wanted to ask, in your opinion, I a furry if I like the art style, but I'm not involved? Is it?
I mean,
Basically, if you want to be a furry, just say you're a furry.
Okay, so I could call myself
yeah,
a
you
furry
can-
if
yeah,
I
if
like
you
the art
wanted-
style,
Yeah,
if
but
you
I'm
want
not
to.
part of it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know much beyond the art.
Well, that's kind of why we wanted to have people. We wanted to learn about it. I mean, I
Yeah.
already know a good deal about it from you guys. And I've been on the internet for long enough that you see furry stuff a lot. Because I'm pretty sure if you look up like any sort of like character or anything, and then look up furry, you can find like the furry fandom's interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know a good amount. I feel like probably not as much as you guys. You've been in there a lot longer than I have. Jack, he's kind of uneducated about the whole thing, but
I am.
But I've known for pretty much as long as I've known you, because we met like 2 years ago, and like a month into knowing you, you mentioned how you liked the art style. So I've known that
Oh
for
yeah.
a while.
No, we talked about this way back when, and I was like, well, and then we had a whole debate. It was like, am I a furry or not?
Yeah.
And then the whole group was like, well, I don't
We
know.
we had to take a vote on that. But,
So I'm glad I
but now
get
you got
your
your
opinion.
if you want to be one, that's all it takes.
Yeah,
if you
you're
want to
more
be,
than welcome to
Yeah.
come to one of the club meetings, sit and see how you
Yeah.
like it,
Yeah.
and try on one of the fursuits.
Fursuits.
Frankly,
Wow.
it's not even for the newspaper anymore. But I think we should both come back. I think we should both come back and like
That'd be
sit in on
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That'd be
Definitely join
great.
us. Join
Yeah,
us.
but to make clear, before we get into some of the other questions, we should, because this is the main reason why you're here. I want to give you a second to promote the club, like particularly to say like when the meetings are, where they are. I know all this, but just so you could put it out there, so people who are interested can look into it.
Generally, we're gonna have a meeting every other Tuesday in the queue. We normally like announce all of our official meetings on our Discord, and that's the best place to find us, I guess. And we're gonna be putting up some posters around campus with like the Discord link and how to find us. Yeah. So we definitely want to do more like meetings here soon for the Furry Club.
You know,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're okay. I definitely think, we're gonna do how to make a fursona.
Persona.
In one of the meetings, informational meetings. I mean, you are,
So
you
so
are-
wait, it's like Persona's like you're an animal assigned to you.
Well,
Kind of.
Yeah.
A persona is basically the character you use to represent yourself in the fandom.
Okay.
yeah, and it can be anything from a physical.
anything.
It can be like an embodiment of yourself with all your traits, or it can just be maybe someone who you wish you were, or someone
Does it
something
have-
you wanted.
And it's an animal, like
Yeah,
I said,
but
animal.
not specifically. I mean, that's when you get into the realm of kind of just because people have OCs, original
Characters.
characters,
Yeah,
original
yeah.
characters, and it's like you you can just kind of be whatever you want. That's
Yeah.
the beautiful thing about the internet is that you can kind of just be like, oh yeah, I
It's
really
kind of
like.
free.
I really like Destiny, I'll
Yeah.
have like a original character from Destiny or
Right.
something like that. And
So
it's
like, what about cryptids?
Yeah.
yeah,
I could
those
be like a
absolutely
Bigfoot?
count.
Yeah.
I could be a Bigfoot.
You could be. You
Yeah,
could
you
have
could.
a
That'd be
bright.
awesome.
Yeah, you already look
colored
like Bigfoot,
first-
so it already works. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, my beard would go with it. And so you say bright color. Does it need to be bright, or is
It
it
doesn't
whatever?
have to
No,
be.
it can be anything.
Mine is bright
Mm-hmm.
pink and green.
Okay.
But you can have like natural colors. Really, the world is your oyster. You
That's-
can make
that's
whatever
awesome.
you want, which is what I really appreciate about it.
What animal is your character?
So mine is a dragon and a dog like mixed together.
Hybrid.
basically. Yeah, it's a hybrid.
Dragon dog. Wow.
Yeah, so she's a dragon dog. Her name's Stripe, and that's actually the name I normally go by with like my friends and in the club. And
Okay, so they know you as
fandom.
Stripe.
You know me as Stripe, not so much Ellie. But I don't know. I really like the name, and it just kind of stuck as a nickname, and now that's what I mostly go by. But yeah,
And yours?
I'm a pink seagull griffin hybrid.
Whoa, 3.
So
Seagull Griffin. Oh wait, no, 2.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
pink.
Two of them kind of combined, meshed together.
Oh,
And
wow.
there can be. You can make backstories for your characters. You can kind
That's
of be
cool.
like, oh, or like take personal elements of yourself. Something that you hold near and dear to your heart, and kind of make a somewhat embodiment of that into a character
Yeah.
that may or may not be an anthropomorphic animal, and it's just
So you, like you said, it's very creative.
it's
Wow.
really galvanizing how the freedom you have to just
Huh.
in a world of things that you can't control, this is the one thing that you really can, and that's it's escapism for a lot of people.
I see.
But it's
I see the appeal of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was gonna ask, do you kind of talked about the meeting a little bit, but do you know anything? Would you like to explain a little bit like the history of the fandom or anything that you know of?
Yeah, so I looked into this. It started, I guess, around 1979. Really, is when it like very first started. I don't remember the name of the guy, but there was a guy at a sci-fi convention that really liked the anthropomorphic like alien characters.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. They're past now, but yeah, they got really into it and met up with some other people that really liked like the alien characters, and they started like talking about it in groups. And then I guess it really got going in like 1980.
And they did all the funny animal stuff and
Yeah,
all that.
they made like some comics, and they made like a lot of art with it was basically like alien character based, but after that they kind of moved into more like realistic animal characters, and they started hosting meetups at different sci-fi conventions and different conventions all around. And then they like after that they amassed a group of people that were really interested in furries. They started calling themselves furries, and then they actually had, I think it was Further Confusion was the very first.
I do believe so.
Yeah,
I think that
Further
was it.
Confusion is a furry convention, and they hosted it at a hotel, and it was really, really big, and it's kind of just exploded since then.
Wow.
Is there any type of art that furries have like not been able to crack? I guess I would say, like, because furry. There seems like there's every type of art you want to find, like like what would I say, like short videos, like art, like music, probably even there is a version that furries have done. Is there any type of art they have not done from your?
No,
from your
God.
don't
estimate?
think
I
so.
don't think
I
so.
think-
I think it's
yeah.
been everything. I mean,
Furries are in literally every single piece
Yeah.
of media I have ever
Right.
found ever.
Mm.
Even like
They're furry books.
yeah, there's,
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
tons of books, there's tons of music, there's tons of like stories, there's tons. And even people with like important jobs are furries.
Oh,
like
'cause
yeah,
they're
the
like
person-
movies.
What was it? Was Moderna or
yeah, one of the COVID vaccines was actually helped
Yeah.
being made by a furry.
Wow.
Sent furries to space.
That's awesome.
Like we're everywhere, honestly.
Would you call Zootopia a furry movie?
Yes,
Absolutely.
You would?
Oh my god, I remember when Zootopia came out.
Yeah.
So I've been in this fandom since I was like 12, and I'm 23 now. And I remember when Zootopia came out, and I was already a furry. I'm like, oh, this is gonna make a lot of people furries, and it really did.
it was
Interesting.
basically our generation's Robin Hood, where it was like, you know, you see Nick Wilde is basically just Robin from Disney's Robin Hood, and you're just
Yeah.
like, they're pretty
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite fictional like anthropomorphic characters? Like any that you? It doesn't have to be like necessarily. It doesn't have to
I
just be for like the
bet,
furry.
just,
Just
I
any, like,
bet.
any characters that you think are like I like this character, because I would assume there have to be some that are like really.
Ooh, I don't know what my favorite one is
Yeah,
out
I
of
couldn't
everyone.
pick
I do
my
really like the
favorite.
original, like the furry version of Robin Hood. Basically, I really, really love that movie.
That is a good movie.
Yeah, I remember watching that as a kid, and I think that was probably one of the founding medias that made me into a furry when I was really young. But
I definitely have to say, if I had to pick a favorite character out of all of them, there's this anime, Beastars. It's really good. You should watch it and read the manga. But, oh, Legoshi, I love you.
Right.
He has to be my favorite out of
Right
if
on.
I had to pick a favorite.
What is he?
He's a like what? He's like a gray wolf, really really tall,
wolf.
kind of quiet. You know, I just
Nice, a lone wolf type.
yeah, kind of.
Nice.
You know, and there's like there's like the mob in the movie and everything. Or not in the movie, in the show, and it's really cool. You know.
Now this is I have a question specifically for you mentioned, especially in the meeting, and I'll put this out there, that having like a fursuit is not necessary to be in the fandom or anything like that. A lot of furries do that, but that's not a necessary thing. For those who are looking into getting like a fursuit, what would the process be, so people can kind of like hear how do you get
Yeah.
involved in that?
So first of all, I'll explain exactly like what a fursuit is. It's basically a costume made for your character. It's kind of like a personal mascot costume, but they're built a lot better than mascot costumes. And I am a part-time fursuit maker. I do that as my part-time job. And honestly, there are so many makers out there. They're both like really big makers with like tons of followers, and a little bit like smaller ones. I would consider myself a smaller maker. But basically, how to commission a fursuit is I would go on your social media of choice and look at different fursuit makers. And a lot of times you can ask them like what their prices are and just start talking to them. a lot of people will like do free quotes, so you can get like a general idea on price. And then after you find your maker, you talk to them, give them like a reference sheet of your character, and kind of just go from there and answer any questions that they have, and they will make a fursuit for you.
Yeah, and
Nice.
they most likely they'll walk you through the creation process while it's being made, and if there's anything that you don't like, you're at complete freedom to change it. And most of them have payment plans, because these things are like, you're basically putting down money for a used car. on
Wait,
these
what's
things.
an average?
So a beginning price. So generally, they can just go from like just the head to the whole body costume. The heads generally at a very beginning price start at 1.5K.
Just the head.
Just the head.
Whoa.
And that's on the cheaper end.
Yeah, that is.
And
On the cheaper end, okay.
On the cheaper
So
end.
they're high quality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How long they
absolutely.
last? Last years?
Years and
Forever.
years. Yeah.
Decades?
Like a really long time.
They're gonna
Wow.
outlast you. I'm just gonna tell you that. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you take
probably.
good
All
care
those
of them.
microplastics in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one of my friends' fursuits is I'm refurbishing it right now. It's like an 8 or 9 year old fursuit, and
Whoa.
he gave it to me to just kind of fix up, and it still looks really, really good. But it's like 8 years old, and like the fur is kind of like a little bit worn down, so I'm just gonna replace it. But like,
Because he used like woolite on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
but they can last years and years and years. And there's even one of our friends from the Idaho kind of group, Victoria. Her suit is, I don't know, probably 10, 12 years old right now, and it's fantastic looking.
Wow. That's high quality.
Yeah, I bring that because you can really see the difference. Because if I can just offer like from personal experience, when I went to the club meeting, those were fursuits that were like, you would think they were made just the other day. How they, and then on the contrary, I bought for a bit we're doing on the show like a chicken outfit on Amazon.
That I'm gonna wear.
That thing looks like a giant piece of crap, all right. Like
Yeah.
And you are gonna wear. I was thinking about
I am.
bringing it here and getting like a review of it, but I just think that,
Yeah, we
like,
forgot.
is it? Yeah. Well, I didn't just forget. I just thought that was probably like, I don't want to bring that in here. But yeah, I appreciate it because you can notice the difference in quality when you see them. Sometimes it's hard to notice in like online pictures and stuff, but you can notice it. So, but yeah, I appreciate getting your like, I guess I'd say expert opinion on what it takes to like get one of these made. So I was going to ask also about the Furry Club. You had mentioned in the past there had been, or I think with some of the interviews I did with members of the club, that there have been, maybe I'd say like events or types of things like that the club has done together. Like for example, last February I think it was, they held like a Super Bowl like watch party.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to name a few of those like kind of the fun
Chief
events you
should
guys have done?
not have won
So,
that.
Yeah.
So we do like different fun events and like different like little fun like parties and get-togethers for the club, and we had the Super Bowl. So we hosted a meet at my place, and I made soup basically for everyone, and we watched the Super Bowl.
Nice.
That, and we've had some different like sewing meetups where like I'll teach people how to sew and actually make the fursuits themselves.
Right.
Because making them yourself is a lot cheaper than commissioning someone else. What other events have we done? We've done like some Christmas, like we did like a Christmas party where we got together
We
and
did
like
that Christmas. That was a good Christmas
we did
party.
like a gift exchange. We had like a dinner all together, and then it snowed us in that night, and so we went sledding that night. Yeah, I don't know. And we've done like Thanksgiving get-togethers.
Yeah, we've done, and then we're also planning on doing at the con, if anyone can make it to Anthro Northwest, which is a convention that's happening this January, beginning of January over in Seattle. We're also having kind of like a little get together. We're probably going to go out to dinner or do something like that. So
I have a question. At these parties, are you suited up?
No, not necessarily. Like
Oh,
I have
okay.
them like out.
Yeah.
But like,
But people are just chilling.
Yeah, it's-
basically we're just chilling, hanging
Okay,
out,
cool.
like watching TV or like watching a movie.
Yeah.
Can you be suited up?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like I have them all at my place. I generally don't like wear them all the time. They kind of sit there. Unless we're like out doing stuff or like at, I guess, more public meetups like on campus, like I'll suit because people will like see me and just like, what's that? It attracts people, let's say.
Yeah. I mean, maybe like a nice philosophical way to put it is like it's the furry part of yourself is inside, not in the suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you are kind of suited up
Yeah.
mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I was going to ask as well. You mentioned Anthrocon. Do I have that correct? Or Anthro Northwest. I got
yeah,
one of
the
those.
latter.
Right, yeah. So I was wondering, what are in your opinion, like the best furry convention? Because there's more than just one, right? It's not just
Oh
like
yeah,
one.
God,
they're
hundreds.
they are all over the U.S. and
Mm-hmm.
all over like different countries too. I think I've only been to 2 furry conventions. The Furlandia one that's in Portland, and then Anthro Northwest, which is in Seattle. I definitely like the Anthro Northwest one better because it's a lot larger. That one's my personal favorite. But and it's not that hard to get into. Some conventions, will like cap the like
Yeah, they're
attendance.
just starting to do that for like Anthrocon, right?
Yeah, Anthrocon, and a couple others. Like so many people are attending. Just the hotels aren't big enough for all these people, so they'll cap it, or they do like a raffle system for you to even get a hotel room. Like it's insane.
Other than that, you're
But-
car camping.
Yeah, other than that, you're car camping or have to go to a hotel, like a ways away. But
Right. Are there any like furry celebrities that you know about? Like
Ooh,
either
yeah.
Yeah, they're
celebrities
funny
who
celebrities.
are celebrities in their own right who are furries, or celebrities who become celebrities because of like their work in the fandom.
So there are like a couple of celebrities. I would say like Violent J from ICP, Insane Clown Posse.
But don't forget
Right.
Kevin Gates.
Oh, and Kevin Gates, yeah.
Kevin Gates is a furry.
Yeah, his
Yeah,
daughter's a
his
furry.
daughter's a
and
furry. Oh, his
then
daughter's
he
a
was
furry?
In the newest, in her TikTok video, he was wearing a dino mask and he was...
And he's a furry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd
Wow.
say so.
And like Violent J, I know his daughter is a furry, so he like commissioned a fursuit
Oh,
for
wow.
himself, so he can go to conventions with his daughter and just like
Well,
support
that's
her.
sweet.
There are also like famous people within the fandom themselves that are famous
Mm-hmm.
because they're in the fandom. We call them popufurs.
Mm.
They have their own name. I think one is named Telephone.
Shout out Misha B. Barkin.
Shout out Misha B. Barkin. That's one of our personal friends.
That's a good name.
Yeah. But I guess Majira Strawberry is another one.
He's an oldie.
But
There's
yeah,
Fluke.
normally, yeah, I don't know Fluke.
Fluke the
But-
Husky.
No.
He's just the blue and white guy. Really? He's
Yeah.
relatively
There's a lot of
popular.
blue and white huskies in the fandom.
Okay, well,
But, yeah.
you know.
But yeah, they're just either they're famous for being like YouTubers or creating other media in the fandom. I know Telephone made up their own like invented species basically called Dutch angel dragons, and they're basically just unique looking dragons. So that's how they kind of gain their popularity, and a lot of people are furries because of them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice. Do you think that it's possible someday we'll see like a furry president? Do you think that could happen?
I
Ooh.
sure hope so.
I hope so. Probably.
Guess who's gunning for office? Because I am. Watch out.
Whoa.
Kamala and
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, the October surprise has finally come. We're getting a major furry camp. That would be pretty cool, honestly.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'd be down to have
I
a
mean,
furry president.
Base.
At this point, I feel like at least 10% of the population probably of America, probably more than that, are members of the fandom. So I think there has to be at some point.
10%. Wow.
Because you don't have to own like a fursuit or be going to the conventions to be because that's obviously going to be a lower percentage. But at least that many I think are. So one day there will be one. I feel like, yeah. But I was wondering also, are there any good I guess I'd say for people who are interested like documentaries or anything like that on the fandom?
Yeah, there
Yes,
are. There are homemade documentaries.
I think there are a lot of different documentaries. I think there's one just called The Fandom on
Yeah.
YouTube. I really, really suggest that, or if you just look up furry documentary, there are some fantastic ones. So if you're ever interested about the fandom and want to get a brighter or like a broader example of it, go on
'Cause-
YouTube and watch up or like look up furry documentary, and it is so interesting.
There's a really good internet historian video on it. I don't know if it is necessarily internet historian, but there's a really good video like adjacent to that kind of long form content where it kind of goes over like the guts and like the history of the fandom and where it is now. Admittedly, the video's a bit dated, but it's still a good overview and a good history if you really were into that.
Yeah, I think I know what one you're talking about. Are you talking about the Down the Rabbit Hole one?
Yes, it was
Yes,
Down
I've
the
seen that
Rabbit
one,
Hole.
Yeah, that's a good. My only criticism of that one is they spent I feel like about 30 minutes on the path. I feel like they didn't spend enough time on what the fandom is now. They could have spent a little bit more time on that.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good. It's a good one on like the history as well and how because what I learned from that one is that there was far back as like the 80s they were doing like furry like meetups and stuff like that, and that was kind of cool to see because now you see it on like the internet and all that, but now back then seeing them on those like big VHS cameras capturing them.
Oh
Yes.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I was wondering also, do you ever? I think we talked a little bit about this in the interview for the newspaper. Do you ever encounter people like people who are furries in like your day-to-day life outside of like the club or meetups like that? Do you ever encounter other people who are furries?
Yeah,
all the time.
there are a lot. Like there are so many furries out there, and like you'll see them a lot. Even like one of our newer members is that one of our members like saw that I think they were wearing like some furry themed clothing and shouted, "Oh my God, that's a furry out there!" And then they joined us. But there are a lot of like furry like clothing lines and just like other subtle ways that you can show you're a furry without necessarily wearing a fursuit. So yeah, they're definitely out there if you know where to look.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool. And what do you? I guess I'd say to people who are kind of closed-minded, I guess, or kind of like, well, douches about the whole thing. What would you say to those people if there's any of them like listening, or you could just put a message to them about being more accepting? I guess I would say.
The fandom is a lot of fun, and just hating on us for no reason, like, it's just kind of annoying. Like the fandom is the best thing that's ever happened in my life, and I have a lot of fun with it. So give us a chance. Don't hate us like immediately. Just give us a chance.
Right.
I will admit, I'll be the first one to admit if you come up and ask me that, yeah, we are cringe. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, but we're running around in bright colored animal costumes, for God's sake. But at the same time, it's just like any other hobby. It's like bowling or football or just anything you take enjoyment in. It's just, a little outside the crust. So
To each their own.
exactly.
Freedom.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've been on the internet for a long time, and furries are not at all the most cringiest thing on the internet.
Oh,
you're-
no.
Yeah.
There's worse.
Yeah, we've talked about
worse.
we talked about Chris Chan like what 5-6 times.
Chris
already?
Chan, I
Oh.
love Chris Chan so much.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well,
We are
that's great.
certified Christorians.
Yes.
here.
Really?
Yes.
Social
I
science.
should have brought the signed comic this time.
Yeah.
You have a signed
Yeah.
comic?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I want
Yeah.
to get a Sonichu medallion so
Oh,
bad.
Man, we were just talking about
Yeah,
that.
if I can give you some, let me. Is Chris Chan a furry in your like professional opinion? Is Chris Chan count?
Interesting
I don't-
question.
I don't even consider Chris Chan genderqueer. The only reason they do that is because they're Love Quest. And even then,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
apparently have succeeded with what's-her-name after, Ivy and Panda Halo and all those
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
They found someone to kind of,
Yeah.
after prison, they found someone to... Oh, don't even get me started.
Yeah.
Don't even.
Well, I'll
That's
tell you
a
what.
rabbit hole.
This guy met Chris Chan once.
Yeah.
That was pretty
Are
cool.
You
you
met
serious?
Chris Chan?
Well, I grew up in Virginia.
Oh
and
my God.
Do you know the Kopitz video, Ghost Hunting with Chris Chan and all that?
Yes.
I grew up with Kopitz. He's one of my best friends.
Dude.
And so I
Yeah.
met Chris Chan. I
Oh.
have their number.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, you need to
That's
come to one of the
kinda-
club meetings.
That's
Please,
kind of crazy how
please
this
come
is,
to one of the
has
club
come
meetings.
together. But that's one of the first things Josiah and I connected over is that
Yeah.
he's obsessed with Chris Chan.
Yeah.
And I met them.
That is insane.
I
back
just
in
learned about
Virginia.
Chris Chan this year from Braden, and then
Ooh.
I went down the internet rabbit
That
hole.
is a rabbit hole.
That is Chris Chan, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I not know about this sooner?
Yeah.
Fanta is my favorite drink.
Yeah.
Okay, Fana's so good though.
Yeah. Well, don't let Chris Chan touch the fan off first.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of a ratio of knows about Chris Chan and doesn't know about Chris Chan, what would you say the percentage is in like the furry fandom? You
Good
think?
question.
Ooh.
That is a good question.
I
Inside
Over
the
half?
fandom.
I haven't talked about Chris Chan in the fandom with many other furries
Well, I mean,
before.
a lot of them are internet adjacent, and people know like Chris Chan's like biggest
Yeah.
sins. Like Clyde Cash and like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I am not Ian Brandon something.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's. I'd
I'm
probably.
working on it.
Get that stuff over there.
We've recreated that whole video.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Frame by
a
frame.
lot
Yeah.
of furries know about Chris Chan.
yeah.
Did you say more than
Yeah.
half?
I would say more than half. Probably
Yeah.
around 65, 70%.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe, and that's the other thing. If anyone listened to this show and thought like being a furry was cringe or something, I mean, they have no right to think that because we've recreated Chris Chan's stuff like 50 times so far.
Yeah. You like this show?
I need to listen to this radio
Oh,
show more.
yeah,
Apparently,
yeah.
you guys talk about
Josiah
Chris
show.
Chan.
Well, congratulations! You're the first guests of this season of the show, and you'll be the
Yep.
first listeners of this season of the show. For
Ah,
since I
hell yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah, and I think that I was gonna ask, is there any? Do you think? It's probably. I would assume probably not. But is there kind of like? Can you look at some people and be like, you would assume they're probably a furry? Does anyone have a-
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Furry
no,
dar?
if you wouldn't mind, would I mind getting could I get your opinion on some people if you think they might be a furry?
I would love.
I really,
that
because I don't want to.
more.
I don't know if that's like something like that is like being, what would the term be, like making it into a joke or whatever. But I want to know.
Disrespectful,
There are
yeah.
some people in our lives.
It's like gay voice. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
real.
The gaydar.
It's
real.
I am
Yeah.
very convinced.
Yeah.
All right, so our
Well-
first subject here. In fact, I can just Google his name because
While he pulls
he's
it up, I
famous
want to
enough.
know.
He's famous enough now that you can just Google his name.
I don't know if you would think that I
Austin.
would be.
All right, so this man is a very well-to-do fellow. He's a newscaster.
Oh yeah.
I think I've
What-
heard of this
is
guy.
What do
this
you think
man
about this guy?
a fur? We lived with him for a while.
Yeah, we
Is
know
this-
him.
Is this man a furry?
He's super nice. He's super nice. He's a newscaster. He's the weatherman in Yakima. What do you think?
I get some furry vibes. I don't know,
Some.
like fully, but
What
like
percentage would you give?
It's a coin toss, honestly.
Yeah,
Coin
it's
50-50. Wow.
yeah.
Honestly, I'll have to ask him next time.
Yeah.
I'd put my money on that.
Okay, so you.
Well, good.
50%.
I'm glad to. Now,
Interesting.
let me find a photo of our other friend. This guy's name is Doug Bono.
Doug
Douglas?
Bono.
Doug
That's
Bono,
a
yeah,
strong
Douglas.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you, this guy. I think he is. And the thing is, but the problem is, I feel like he wants to get a fursuit, but he can't because I feel like. Well, maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong, but would it cost more for someone who's like really tall who needs more fat
It's
material? to
only
work
for
with?
Probably.
the bodysuit mostly.
Yeah, if you
not
want to need a
for-
bodysuit, it might, but generally, unless you're like super abnormally tall, like I wouldn't increase my prices for someone that's super tall or like super short. I would just keep them the same.
Doug
Right.
Bono, you should pull the trigger. Get one of them.
Right.
Get a fursuit; they're the best things ever. They're
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, while I pull that up, I just received a message from Mikey, who's the guy who was originally going to lead you up here, but he got sick today. And I'm going
Yeah.
to read it just verbatim. He said, if Jack or Josiah is reading this, can you guys ask, what is an enjoyment of being in the furry community if there's any cons, if you'll have time and see this? You guys have kind of answered that, actually, but to be honest, would you say what are the biggest pros, and if there are any cons you can even think of, pros and cons to being in the community?
I guess the pros is that everyone in the fandom is super, super accepting, and I found friends really easily through the fandom. And even for others, it's pretty easy to find friends within the fandom. The cons, I would say how much hate we get on a daily basis,
Right.
just for no reason. But it's pretty easy just to kind of ignore it.
Right. So this is the most recent photo of this man. His face is painted yellow because he was dressing as a minion.
Oh my
So is this?
God.
Would you say this man is probably a furry?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
100%.
At least on the queer spectrum.
100%.
I mean, he's giving.
Right. Yeah. Well.
he's awesome.
well,
He's
there you go. I
He's
don't-
got the hottest voice.
Yeah,
Sexiest voice.
He has a
Shout out,
beautiful.
Doug.
And then
I want to
See
get him
one
on here
rider.
because he's got a radio
now this is
voice.
our friend, our other friend Mike. You just sent the message.
Yeah.
Here's a nice photo of him.
How about that?
Yeah.
Percent?
I don't know if I see this guy as a furry.
Yeah.
No?
No,
Yeah.
not necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I really appreciate, and I'll ask this, and you can be because I have no offense or stigma about any of this. You can do I give off furry vibes? You can be honest.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Well, I
there
was
you
going
go.
to ask before you pulled it up. I was like, okay, you see me on the street, percentage, chance that I'm a furry, what would you give?
I feel like for you, if I just saw you on the street and I didn't talk to you, I would be like, that's probably not a furry. But now that,
Really?
Yeah.
now that I've
So, like,
talked
what,
with you,
10% chance?
Well, you just are a furry. We've
You just
already
are a
discovered
furry,
that.
Well, yeah,
yeah.
we've
You already
established
are
that.
one.
But yeah, let's say you're on the
Yeah.
street, right?
if I was on the street, I
10.
wouldn't even think
It
you were a
wouldn't-
furry
yeah.
at all.
Really? So,
Yeah.
0%?
Like 0%.
Oh,
I'd
my
be like,
goodness. I'm surprised.
But the first time I saw Brain, I was like, that's a furry.
The
That's
first time you
100%.
saw me, you went, "Oh, that guy's gay," and you weren't wrong. But that was the first impression.
I think that was
Yeah.
the first time you talked to me. I was like, oh yeah, there's some queerness in this one over here.
Some.
There's a little bit, just a little bit. But
Well, listen, I want to say this has been a great. I have just a few other questions. I don't want to keep you guys for too long or anything like
No,
that.
we don't have anywhere to be.
no.
Okay. I don't have anywhere to be either, so you're good. It's completely fine. But I was going to ask if there's anything you'd like to any upcoming. I guess I'd say like any maybe social media outlets or anything like that you want to plug for people to take a look to learn more about the WSU Furry Club.
Yeah, so we have let me pull it up. I created an Instagram for it. It's not really that big yet. Hold on. It's Furry Club WSU, so it's furry_club_WSU, and that's our Instagram. You can get a hold of us there. And my personal Instagram is Stripe the Dragon Dog, all one word, on Instagram as well. You can get a hold of me there, and I am happy to answer any questions about the club, or just about furry things in general. You're welcome to send me a message.
Yeah, and I'm Bagel Burb on Instagram. Bright pink fursuit, you can't miss it.
Right.
It's he's real pink. He was originally going to be one solid color before.
It's a seagull, right?
Yeah.
Seagull dragon?
Yeah.
Here,
Or
I
a
can-
seagull griffin.
Seagull
Basically,
griffin.
it's a seagull with ears.
Seagull eagle. Whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's one of the suits I made.
Yeah, that looks high quality. How much was that?
Well, they gave me the friend discount because I
Okay.
had known Stripe for what, like around 5-6 months at the
At that time, you'd known me for a couple months, but I give a discount to any of the club members if they want to commission me. My commissions are closed right now, but I will be opening them in the next couple months or so. But I think it was 1.5K.
yeah, it was
for your-
1,500,
yeah.
which is not
Nice.
bad at all.
Well, it looks like it.
considering-
That
Yeah.
thing looks high quality.
Oh, absolutely. And I got a friendship out of it too.
Yeah.
So I can't.
That's great.
One of my
Yeah.
ride or dies.
Yeah.
That's a good
Lovely.
story.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a lot from being in the furry club, and not just for the furry fandom especially. I mean, you get a lot, and that was something you had mentioned in the interview that we did. It gives you you get back as good as you give into the club.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, there you go. And I was gonna, I'm gonna mute the mics when I say this person's name because they didn't. Everyone else here, like, I don't care what they think if I ask if they look like a furry or not. But I just want to make sure. So I'm gonna just ask one, and then I'll turn them on for your response again. Just so this one. Because I know you guys have met before, so. I'm just. You don't have to answer that if you don't want it to. Okay.
It's ambiguous. It's really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a 50-50 too.
That's
I would
awesome.
say.
Yeah.
The Furdars
Yeah.
is working.
Yeah.
If I see the person like in person, I feel like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's easier to get like a live check from them.
Mm.
But like some people are fantastic at hiding if they're a furry or not. So
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
it's really up to the person.
There are probably people in like the United States government who are furries and they just don't
Oh,
want to talk
yeah.
about it.
Well,
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Like there are
Oh,
furries
yeah.
in like the military and like
Right.
There's
Mhm.
so many of
Yeah.
them. There's
They're
so
everywhere.
many.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're like that's a whole other like subsection of furries,
Yeah.
military
Yeah.
furries.
Yeah.
But
That's
there's a lot
pretty.
of people.
Yeah. Do they ever, when you're a furry in the military, are there any like I guess I'd say allowance? Like, do they ever allow you to like do art in the military as like furry art or make like a fursuit in the military that you know of? Is it?
I have.
Yeah.
I don't really know a lot of them personally,
Yeah.
but I have seen plenty of photos like in their military uniform
Yeah,
with
yeah.
fursuits,
Mm.
Or they'll get art of their characters, like in the military uniform. So I'm sure, there is.
Right. And now I feel like an idiot because I had the mic turned off for a second when I
Oh.
no, it's good, but it looked like the sound levels were weird, so I guess they still heard that. But thank you though, I appreciate getting your like I guess I'd say like an expert's perspective on all. And I was wondering also that are there any I guess I'd say for people who are kind of wondering I guess if they would be consider themselves a member of the fandom, is there any like I guess I'd say things you'd give them to think about whether or not they'd like to declare themselves as a member, if that makes sense.
Ooh, that's a difficult one.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if you are like teetering on if you are a furry or not, I would just say go for it and have fun. There's nothing stopping you from being like, like if this fandom's not for me, I just won't be a furry anymore. So give it a chance, and it's like a ton of fun. So just give it a chance, I would say.
Yeah,
Right.
you have to really let go of your inhibitions and kind of be like, I don't care what people think about me. You got to full send it with anything in life, you see the yellow light when you're approaching it, you got to step on the gas, that
Right,
doesn't mean
right.
slow down to stop.
Right.
Amen.
Well, I guess I just say one other question, but before I do, Jack, is there anything else you'd like to?
I got a couple of questions. How much
Oh.
time? How much time do we got?
Well,
time
we
is it?
got like 13 minutes before the show's over, so we can. I mean, if you want, we can just do it. We can spend another 13 minutes here. I mean, I have.
I got a couple
Nothing else?
questions. Yeah. First one, when it comes to the personas, how much of the personas would you say is the person and a separate entity? Like, is it an extension of purely the self, or is it like another thing that you can escape into?
You're gonna hate me for this, but that is purely subjective. And
Yeah,
that is
okay, so it's
completely
just up
to
in the
you.
air.
So yeah, if you like had a character and you were like, oh, like I want this person to be me. I
Okay.
want this
Okay.
animal person to be me. You
Yeah.
know, you pick like your favorite animal, like a color palette that kind of matches you.
Mm.
You'd be like, what do I like? Or you could just completely go a completely separate direction and be like, oh, like, but what if I was like a wizard? Or what if I was an astronaut? Or something like that. You know, it's completely and
Okay.
utterly up to you.
Okay.
Because, like, with me personally, like, my persona, she just is me.
Yeah.
She just is who I am, basically.
Yeah.
There's not really much different, obviously. Like, we look different, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the same for Braden, but I guess it's really up to the person.
Yeah, I guess because it's so subjective, we go on a personal basis. But like I was gonna ask, is how much do you feel like yourself when you're in the suit, and how much is it like you're a different person? I don't know.
Ooh,
That's a hard one.
that is a hard one. I guess, like, in suit it depends on which character I'm suiting, because I have different suits for different characters. So if I'm suiting one of
Really?
my different characters, I will act like how I think they would act.
Okay.
I don't feel like them. I'm just basically playing a character.
Okay, so it's like a different personality. You're
Different
acting.
personality. And like I am not like a very like hardcore person. I'm not very scary looking. But I have like this skull dog. He's called Kenji. But like the mask itself is like a skull, so I can act more like basically badass
Okay.
in him than I would personally. But like in my personal fursuit Stripe, I kind of just act like myself, and
Yeah.
I feel like myself.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Cool. And in what do you have a name for your OC?
His name is Jazz.
Jazz.
He's like me. He just likes the beach a lot more than I do.
Okay, because he's a seagull, right?
Yeah. Well, originally it was because, I used to sail a lot when I was a kid on like little dinghies out in Puget Sound. And,
That's awesome.
I just...
That's lore.
And I love birds. So I was just like, you know what? Seagulls are pretty cool. And
Yeah.
he's just like me, except he's kind of a surfer dude bro.
Okay, so
And
I was gonna ask, does Jazz have a higher voice? Because it's a seagull, or is it lower?
Sometimes he squawks. It depends.
Okay, so we
Depends.
get squawks.
I mean, it depends who you ask. A lot of the times I squawk too.
Awesome. That's awesome. Huh. So Jazz can squawk. And
yeah.
and when you're talking, is it like are you in a dude bro style speech pattern, or?
I mean, I could try one of these days. It'd be really funny.
Okay, but it's just
usually
you.
my signature gay voice usually
Yeah,
most
okay.
of the time because that part I don't have to try. That just comes inherently with the territory.
Yeah.
So but
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, that answers my question. I just
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess since the show is nearly over at this point, just a few other questions I'll ask. I just wanted to, do you guys have any favorite, like, I guess I'd say furry type jokes, like furry, like puns? Do you guys have any?
Ooh.
Like, do you ever say, like, when you're talking to them and, like, let's pause for a minute or something?
Yes. Let's pause for a minute.
So I love
I know there are some
got 'em.
out there. I can't think of any right now.
Me neither. It's when they just kind of come out, sometimes. It's
Anything
like,
with paws, tails, fur, anything like that.
Nice. Yeah. I wanted to ask specifically because in the subheading of the article, I wanted to put pause like that. But I need to check that because I don't know if that's like making a joke out of it or being like a dick, and I just had to make sure.
Fully go for it.
No,
I'm
send
fully
it.
supportive. Send
Yeah.
it.
Send
You got
it.
the
All
cosign.
right, well, there you
got
go,
the
yeah.
cosign.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I was wondering also, when you had mentioned one of the things that you like as part of the fandom is when you encounter people who may not even be part of the fandom but are very like accepting of it, very nice. But
Oh, yeah.
do you have any particular like moments you'd like to share of that happening or something?
Oh, so like, I don't know. I like being at conventions a lot, especially not so much furry conventions, but
just
if
like Comic-Con.
if I go
like
to
that.
like Comic-Con, especially like the Comic-Con that we went to this past summer in Spokane, like we went out and there were like so many like little kids that were like, oh my god, you guys are like so cool, or just other people that have like knew of furries but had never seen a furry like in person and would like run up to us and be like super excited to get a photo with us. And there are so many times it's happened,
Yeah.
and just all of those are like some of my favorite memories.
At that Comic-Con in particular, we got there and we could hardly walk 5 feet without someone being like, "Oh, can we like take a picture?" And of course, I love the attention, so I was like, "Absolutely." It's just I don't know. And a lot of the times, especially I went to Olympia Pride and Jazz. You'll have like young furries, like Therians is what you'll call them, was like people who it's like a whole different thing. I'm not a Therian, but they'll come up to you and they'll be like, "Oh, like I love your suit." And you're kind of like, you kind of get this like feeling where it's like, "Oh man, like this kid's gonna remember that." Like this is a core memory for this person, and it feels really good knowing that you could contribute to someone joining this amazing fandom. Because it's just so full of love. And you go to a furry convention, I guarantee you just walk into the convention center. You ask to take pictures with people. People aren't going to go, "Ew, no," I mean, everyone is just so kind and nice and welcoming. It's just
It's kind of like being your own celebrity for
Yeah.
a bit there. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
And I don't know any other time where you'd get that feeling, but people like love to take photos with us or like talk to us, and it's a lot of fun.
Right. It seems like I feel like there's a lot of like kids who would be more because they haven't been told by people in society that it's wrong yet or whatever. A lot of kids who are going to be a lot more accepting in that. Be a jerk like an adult might be. So I'm glad to know that there are people who are very nice and accepting about it and aren't don't think it's wrong when they don't know anything about it. And I wanted to ask this. This is something I don't remember. Someone in the newsroom actually told me about this, and so this may just be a complete rumor. So I just want to ask if this is true or not. That there's a group of furries in Idaho who are like, you guys are that the WCU Furry Club is kind of against it. They're doing bad things or something. Is that true?
I don't really know. I wasn't really part of that.
is it the Pause on Palouse
I don't
thing? Is that
know.
what it was?
Yeah.
I think there was like someone problematic in the group, but
Yeah.
I really don't know. I'm not
Right.
really that much associated
Yeah,
with them.
nor do I.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was true at all or not, but I just heard someone said that there was some other like group in Idaho who were just causing trouble or something like that. And I just wanted to...
Yeah, that's also one of the cons of the fandom. Is definitely
Yeah.
there's a lot of rabble rousers. We'll
Yeah.
put it like that. People who join the fandom and they see it as accepting, and they go, "You know what? I'm gonna be a Nazi." In
Right.
this fandom, and that
Whoa.
happens a lot, surprising
Yeah.
amount actually.
Wow.
With how
Nazi furries. Whoa.
those
Yeah.
exist,
They
they
do.
do
Really?
exist.
That was what I specifically heard about that group that they had that
Oh,
they were
wow.
Nazis, and I
That
just
is-
Oh my
thought,
God.
I didn't hear that.
I haven't heard
I'm
about
just-
that.
well then I won't say it's true then because I would know very little about it, but
That
that's
is such a wow. How does that work in their heads? That's
yeah.
I don't get it. But they
there's
really
dissonance there, you
They,
know?
they really like German shepherds. That's they.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Wow.
I mean, there's a bit of a connection there, I guess, if they're looking for
Oh
it.
my goodness.
Yeah.
But that is very. But I just want to make clear that we're like the furries in the furry club. I did not meet all of them, but they all seem like very respectable people, so they would
Oh
not
yeah,
do something
like
like that.
absolutely.
every single
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
of the people in the furry club are fantastic people, and I would trust them all with my life. I love them all, so they're all very great
Yeah.
people.
Because I know that from their point of view, I didn't explain like what I was there to do till like near the end. Just some guy with the camera just came in and started taking pictures of every. And I think most people would be kind of against that, try to kick them out, but no one was in that mood to try to kick anyone out. So that was nice. But yeah, I appreciate that. And I guess just one more thing because we're about to probably in just a few minutes we'll close out the show. I just wanted to ask: is there anything that you'd like to add? Just I know we talked for a while, but just in case there's anything you'd like to mention or add, or just anything that I may not have given you the opportunity to talk about.
Not really anything off the top of my head. Then the furry fandom is a lot of fun, and if you want to join us, like feel free. We're a great group of people, so if you ever want to join either the furry fandom or the furry club here on WSU, like go for it. We will accept you with open arms.
And we'll give you like the Discord if you want to join the
Yeah,
Discord.
no, I'm
group.
curious.
Sure.
I wanna be a
Yeti. I want
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
a Yeti. I think a Yeti would be good, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, counts.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I see it. I think you could be a good Yeti.
Yeah.
I have to think about what my like persona would be to be.
Yeah, I was
honest.
thinking
have to-
about that all throughout this
Yeah.
interview. I was
You're
trying
gonna
to
have
pinpoint.
to. You're gonna have to. I'm not smart enough or talented enough. Or
What do you
anything to
mean?
think of one.
You were
No,
quite creative.
No,
I'm gonna stick up for you here. Just
Literally
Yeah.
anything in the
Anything.
universe
Yeah.
could be your
Mhm.
persona.
I'll think of something.
Yeah.
We were talking about the the old Robin Hood movie. That movie was pretty like badass. So maybe a fox. I don't know. Those are cool.
Ooh.
That's
Yeah,
a good
I mean,
movie. You
they're
know.
There's a
Pretty
lot of
popular.
them for a reason.
Pretty
Yeah.
foxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canines are pretty popular in the
Yeah.
fandom. Like I am, so like they just
Yeah.
those are I think the most popular furry. I don't know why, but they are very very popular.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, I appreciate kind of hearing a little bit from your perspective. So to kind of end the interview on like sort of being able to mention it again for those just tuning in now, the WSU Furry Club in the Smith Center 209 room 209 at 6 on I believe like tentatively every other Tuesday or something like that. Yeah. So if you want to like even if you're not in the fandom, just want to learn more about it, that's a good place to go. I learned a lot about it, from being there. And I think everyone there did, since there were a lot of people who were like freshmen as well who didn't know as much. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys being able to make the time. And yeah, I mean, thank you for being able to come on the show. But anyway, that's basically the show for today. Since there's only like 2 minutes left, I'll just kind of go into it. Next week we're gonna be. Well, you're not gonna be here, right? Jack, you're probably
No,
not.
probably not. I have an OChem test.
Yeah, I forgot. That's you want to like blow that off maybe.
No, I cannot blow that one off.
Well, I'll tell you what. Jack has in terms of the KUGR management, has no reason to be here basically. So you guys, if you ever want to be on the show again,
Oh,
I don't-
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
If
I
you
would
ever-
love it.
Yeah.
if you
just
ever
let
want to
us
see
know.
the Chris Chan comic book that
Oh
Oh,
my
yeah.
God!
Yeah.
Please,
And
we
he's
should do
he-
a whole episode on Christian.
Yeah, if you want-
He
If you
just
ever
got
want-
rocks and gravel too from. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I
You
got.
got oh.
It's the crystals.
Yeah, if you
crystals.
ever want me to bring that to like the meeting or something,
I
I'll
hope you
definitely do that.
disinfected
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, we're trying to pool together $1,000 to buy the first photo of Sonic Chris Chan ever drew.
Is that how much it is?
That's how much
I
it
would
is.
invest in that.
Yeah.
Let me know.
It's
Wanted
like
to
when
sell
it,
a
when
fursuit.
Picasso died or whatever, his art all went up in value. I think it's only
He is the most.
It's like free money. They're idiots investing in Bitcoin and stuff when you should be putting your money in the Chris Chan draw.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a
Yeah.
good
100%.
topic
Yeah.
to end on.
Yeah. So next week we got we got the KFC prank, we got the Prop 121 bit, and we got Halloween, and then we got the last show before we vote for our next king. And I just want to say, we got some bangers coming up. So thank you guys again for being here. I really appreciate your time, and thank you, Jack, for being here as well. Even though I take that back because you're not going to be here next week. So.
Hey, you know what? I'm new intro next week, by the way. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make that.
New intro next week. So thanks again, everyone, for listening, and have a great rest of your night and great rest of your week. So take care.